My name is Neeru. I work with Prava, which is an organization based in Delhi. We work with young people and really working on harnessing, youth leadership in India right now. That's what we do, and we are going to really talk about today how do we unlock the potential of youth leadership, for solving the wicked problem of school education. If you've been here with us at InvokED, yesterday and today, we've been talking about how, the problem of school education needs a lot more efforts from all of us, coming together. And today, with the panel I have with me, we are going to just explore a little bit of youth leadership. So I have a bit of an activity before we start, and just to also get you all to really connect with what we are going to talk about today. Are you all with me to do this? Yeah? Okay, great. What I want you to do is I want you to think about one incident in your life, a moment of leadership, right? Where you really stood up to a challenge that was in front of you and really took charge of the situation. One leadership moment. It could be in your school, college, place of work, in your community, probably you saw there was something that needed resolving, where you live, and you really took charge and took leadership on it. Can we all think of that? We'll take like 15 seconds to think of a moment like this in your life. Yeah? Have you all been able to spot one at least? Yeah? It can also be zero point 0.5, like, half, but I hope we can get from half to one, during the course of this conversation. Also, if you've thought about it, I would like you to, just look at the person sitting next to you. You can just look at the person who's sitting next to you and maybe just take a minute or two to share it with them. Yeah? Your moment? So just think of a moment of leadership in your life, and you can say hello to the person sitting next to you and just share it with them. Okay, I hope we have. It's okay if you've not finished the full conversation. This session is just placed perfectly. There's lunch right after, right? So you will get a lot of time to also talk with each other. Can I have, would somebody just like to share, what you spoke about? We might not be able to take all responses, but maybe a couple of people can share, what did you really learn from this leadership experience? Did it teach you something new about yourself, about your community, about the people that you were engaging with? Would anybody like to share a few responses before we dive into the session? Did it teach you something new? Or did you learn something new in there? This is a brain date, so you also get to be like with me on this. Yes, Nadeem.
Not telling a story, but the story goes back almost 2 decades back in my college days, where I took an initiative to turn all the projects plastic-free projects. In law schools, we used to have 72 projects in a year,
Right.
and therefore that's the initiative. And a small love letter to all teachers was sent, and it was liked by people a lot. The learning for me was that I was not very confident to kind of confront this and talk to teachers at least, and therefore I did. It's a typical what to say, as in a letter. I slipped the letter in the cabins, teachers' cabin. I did not go and talk to them, but the kind of reception it got, and therefore, if you really want to make change, no matter what your confidence level is, the first step is always important to take, and then you get other people also inspire, and therefore, when you have to inspire others, you have to first inspire yourself, and then act accordingly, and then things will fall in place.
Right. Thank you, Nadeem. Sounds like a great project and a much needed one. Anyone else who would like to share one more response?
मेरा नाम नागेश्वर है और हमारी संस्था का नाम मेरा गांव मेरी दुनिया है। तो एक जो मुझे वो लग रहा है कि सही समय पर सही सवाल पूछना एक स्किल हो सकती है, क्योंकि मुझे जो वाक्य याद आ रहा है कि एक प्रोग्राम था जहाँ पर सब लोग ऐसे ही बैठकर पोहे खा रहे थे। हमारे इधर पोहे बहुत फेमस है इंदौर में, और वो जो पोहे दे रहा था वो प्लास्टिक की चम्मच उसने दी थी। तो हम में से, हमारी टीम में से किसी ने बीच में पूछा कि व्हाट इट टेक्स टू ईट फ्रॉम हैंड, मतलब हाथ से खाने के लिए आपको क्या लगता है। सब लोगों के दिल में इतना चुभा वो, मतलब उस दिन, और नेक्स्ट दिन से सारी प्लास्टिक बंद हो गई। तो वो लग रहा है।
थैंक्स नागेश्वर। आगे कोई है? यस, या।
Hi everyone, my name is Kaustubh. I'm currently with Center for Wildlife Studies. So just like my current work, I actually started off my journey managing a Nature Connect program in WWF India in Delhi. And I transformed the program, implemented it very well in Delhi, and I was given a challenge by my CEO, director, to actually run the program in 14 states. And I was clueless how to do it because I was very comfortable with my job. And yeah, like being a program officer, how do you go about managing 14 state directors to listen to you? That was a very big ask and challenge, and yeah, in 1 year's time I managed to successfully implement it. So what I felt a very big thing about youth leadership was that you have to take the step and just believe in yourself, and I think that's what everyone can make that change.
Right. Thank you so much. That must not have been easy. Yes, we have one more, please.
Oh, hello. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. So, hi, myself Vinay Chaturvedi. I am from MP. So, when I was Gandhi Fellow, there is a program, Community-led Governance, SMC, to strengthen the SMC. And that time, my director has said that this project not need to do right now because there is no scalability and there is no resources to work on that area because everywhere shifted to the skill and other program. So I have taken the charge and I have said that no, I have to do that. And because if parents and students, teachers relationship has been strengthened, then quality education will be delivered to the students. So I have taken this chance and I went to the 2 schools, driven all the process tools and connected with all the community members. And after that, 1 month, I have said my reporting managers don't say to the director that I am working this. When I will come back by any result, then I will share it. And this will be appreciated by the district education officers. And he said this will be a district-led initiative. So I thought that leadership is all about to leading the front. When you take up the charge, you take in the risk, and you have done some things. You cannot proven by words. You have to proven by the actions. Then director has realized that, and he make the delivery of the unit deliverables, and it happened at the 8 districts.
Right.
By the and my colleagues also has drawn these things in their districts. So I realized that you have to take in the risk and prove by
Right.
the actions.
Right.
Thank
Thank you so much. That is so important, right? Like taking the risk, taking the plunge, taking the lead. Sometimes, you might feel very underconfident also doing that, but, just going ahead and doing it. And then, taking that risk as well. And I think today, and thank you so much for, just being such an amazing audience and participating with this. And I think now I would like to introduce what we are talking about today. We're talking about how do we, unlock the potential of youth leadership to solve the issue of school education. And for that, I have some amazing people, on the, for the discussion today, who've had like a first-hand experience of really unlocking the potential of youth leadership. And we're going to hear from them. And then we're going to come back to you to also hear from you what has been your experience as well. Because when we talk about school education, there are a lot of things, right? There's a problem of really only looking at success of, economic success as the only outcome of school education. And sometimes there's a problem of infrastructure. And sometimes there are issues around, how do you really get the student to the classroom itself, right? So there's a lot of issues But then there are also a lot of young people, and as we have seen in this room itself, young people who are in college who are willing to take the risk, who are willing to take the plunge, and who want to try out different things, right? So is there a way we can connect these two and really solve, for the issues that stand in front of us? So for that, I have Shivani with me today, and I will just quickly introduce, people who are sitting here, and then we'll go one by one. I have Shivani, who is from Bharat Dekho, who started as a volunteer and then a team lead, and now is the volunteer district associate in Vikarabad. And she has really been leading a lot of the volunteer work that Bharat Dekho is undertaking. And then I have Kanika with me. Kanika is the convener of Community the Youth Collective, which is really a collective of youth development organization who are working with young people across the country, and that's what Kanika leads. And then I also have Mr. Pratik Jain with me, who is the collector and district magistrate in Vikarabad, Telangana, also very closely associated with the work that Bharat Dekho is doing in Telangana as well, right? So Shivani, I'll first come to you. And I'll ask you, you've been engaged as a volunteer, and now you've been creating a lot of these leadership opportunities for other young people as well. So what has been the impact that happened in your life, when you started doing this? And what led you to then also engage with other people and create this opportunity for other people as well? So if you could just share that.
Okay, first of all, hello everyone. So, as Niru mentioned in the starting, I have joined the organization as a volunteer. So when I have joined with the intention that during COVID we know how was the situation, and I am from a government school, so I know how if it had affected me. So I have joined and I went to my own school and I have started interacting with the children in my school, and I was able to observe the patterns that I was not observing in myself when I was in school. Like many of them were sitting back, and they were just whenever a teacher or me, when I have went for the volunteering, when I used to ask them to join in a for an activity or to draw something, they used to be just go back, and we used to wonder that why they are doing that. And after few weeks, I came to know that it is due to fear in them. Teachers judge them, the parents judge them, and also they lose confidence and they stop believing themselves just because others judge them. So after a few days, we started doing activities with them, and I asked them we used to go to school with two of my friends. So we three of us used to do many activities with them, and it took us 2 to 3 weeks and more than that. We used to visit only twice or once in a week. So then we was able to see a little change in them when we were being like a sister and a brother with them. And then they started sharing their problems with us, and then we told them that when you share, when you are at home, you share your problems with your brother and sister, so treat us like that and be free with us as well. Then at the end of the year, we was able to see that there was a very drastic change in them, and the teachers were amazed that how you could do that, because the students doesn't used to come to school regularly, and the strength on Saturday used to be more. And whenever we used to go, the teachers used to say that they are waiting for you. They don't care about whether we come or not, but they will be waiting for you on Saturday, and because of that, there is a huge strength on Saturdays. So there were two students in my classroom, when I used to go to school, and during, as I mentioned in the starting, they were very afraid to speak, and the teachers used to say that whenever you asked any questions to them, they won't answer. But at the end of the year, there was a training for the POs, those were the professors, and there were 300 members. So there was a training we were conducting for them for Pillala Kosam program, and in that program, those two children spoke in front of them, and that memory that I had, that inspires me more, because when I was in school, I was not able to see, because I had my friends who were the same as they were, and now they are nothing, they are not able to do anything. And at that time, I thought that we need to support the children, and a little encouragement that we gave them will make, bring a big change, and that was an example that I was able to see in those children. And later I worked with Peddapalli youth, where that was a just summer camp for 30 days. But in that 30 days, I was also like during Pillala Kosam as a volunteering school, I came to know about the children, and from that perspective, like supporting children will help them. My like the word change to that youth will make the bring like the youth can change the like they can solve the problems and they can bring the change. I started believing in youth from children. Like yes, we are going and supporting the children, but when we go to youth, we are creating opportunity for them to utilize it, and they are being the change makers in their own community. Because if we go from a different place and ask them to do something, they won't do. But being in a community, being in the same community, when we ask them, they will believe and they will come together and they participate in the activities. So at that time, again, there were few volunteers who didn't come forward during the first day, and within 30 days or 45 days, when there was a certification, they came and spoke in front of Muzammil sir. Yeah. So, and at that time, I was able to see that youth are waiting for opportunities. Like everyone say that youth will not care about the society. They just want to have fun, and they don't take opportunities, and they don't want to participate in the community. But there are many youth who are waiting for that opportunity, because we are still working with the youth, and there are many youth who are ready to take up this and bring a change in the community. So that inspired me more to work with the youth, like the Pillara Sandhi that we have in Peddapalli. And at that time, I felt like supporting my friends, like the youth. And if we want a change, then it will happen only if all of us come together. So at that time, I felt like, yes, everyone has to come together, and only then we can bring a change.
Wow, thanks. Thanks, Shivani. And I think just going to, the last thing you said, at the end, like, the young people are waiting for that opportunity, and that every one of us sort of needs to come together. And I think, that leads me to you,
Jump the queue.
were you waiting for another order? But I think, no, I think what I am currently thinking about is that, how do you, because I think what I have heard about, how you've engaged with Bharat Dekho and the work that you've done, what I have heard is that you've really created those opportunities, for young people to come together. And you've seen the potential of, what does it really take to, for the non-profit organizations, for the NGOs and the government to really come together and work. And I think I'd love to, hear from your experience and talk about it before I go to Kanika. Yeah.
I'm a very bad speaker, but I will try to answer. So, a very good afternoon to everyone. So, I will just give very brief introduction of how did Bharat Dekho, not the Bharat Dekho happened. At that time, it was Chebao only. I still remember the name of the organization. I met Romila and Abhijit via a good friend of, another good friend by Harsha. So they came up with an idea. So I was then posted in Rangareddy as additional collector local bodies. So Muzammil is my batchmate, dear friend also. So we always used to think that it was a new post. It was not defined. So we took our opportunity, let us define this post ourselves. Like, because since it is not defined, we can take it the way we want. So we used to get ample number of representations that we want roads, drains, infrastructures we keep on talking about. But there was no one who was talking as a sarpanch, as a sarpanch or as a counselor. I want to improve the learning outcomes of my school. See, we thought that we should create a social capital. And I just happened to watch that movie Jai Bhim at that time. There was a movie, Surya movie. I hope many of you must have watched it. So there was a character in that movie called Maitra. So there was oppressed. That was that tribal couple. There was an oppressor. It may be state, it may be political system, it may be anywhere XYZ. Then there was an enabler who wants to fight. That is a lawyer, Surya as in. Then there was a bridge who took the oppressed to the savior. The Senthali character was taken to the lawyer Surya via teacher who used to teach the adult in the village. it was, the name of the character was Maitra. So Abhijit, Romila, we all discussed, like operation is always going to be there. The power structures are there in society. They were there 1,000 years ago. Next 1,000 years ago, the operation is going to be there. So we should create some people, apolitical, people with social capital, where the people can be approached. Then again, I happened to read that book, Grey Sunshine. Then there were a lot of didis and bhaiyas in that. So we thought, why don't we create a social fellowship within our system? So that's how we thought of an idea of volunteers in our government schools. And being part of the system, I was against the system. I did not want to make this initiative as part of the education system. We ran that system through local bodies. That is PR department and ULB department. And we asked the sarpanches, we asked the ULB corporators that you just give us 5 youths out of your wards who are dedicated youth who just want to do something. And believe me, our idea was not, we had so many teas and coffees at Lama Khan. Where is it going? What is it happening? How is it going to happen? Then we again thought for 2 hours, why did we start? Then we again realized the starting was not to improve the educational outcome at all. That was a byproduct. The idea was to create people with social capital in the village. And my heart is so full seeing Shivani speaking at that platform. So creating Shivanis in the villages was the idea. That was the idea, that we should create the youth who can take this ahead. And I am sure there are so many people who have been created out of it. I can name a lot of. Pawan is there, Mehveen I can see. And I may be bad with the names, but in blue shirt, Ganesh. So that was the idea, like to create didis and bhaiyas who are approachable, who know the law, who are educated, who are having the constitutional ideas, who know about the rights and how the system works, and who can connect. People may not be empowered all the time, but the system may trust some people. So that was the idea, and I'm really glad. So we could do it, and I am sure the time has come. And as I always say, that she has already told it, that there is a lot of latent talent present in the villages who is not tapped. Our idea was actually housewives, educated graduate housewives. They are anyways giving tuition. Would they come forward and start teaching the students, helping the students who want? Because for that matter, my mother is there. She never got that opportunity to teach, but she may want to teach people who are struggling with things. So I'm sure a lot of youth is there who is waiting to teach and contribute to the society, and I think all these platforms will help them. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you. And I think at some point, maybe if we have the time, we'll also love to hear from some of the other volunteers, who are also here in this room. Maybe
I think that
also
idea then went to Muzammil, made it very big. I think I had been always very cynical about things, like we should always do. I had been always a cynical part, like I always think for the worst part, but luckily I was out of there, and then the team approached Peddapalli, Adilabad, and Muzammil happened to be there, and he gave wings to this project, and I think now Shivani is here. Thank you.
lovely. And I think it takes me back to what was being talked about in the main auditorium right now, which was about that how do we really really listen to these ideas that are emerging from the communities and then talk about scale, right? And I think there's an idea sort of fluttering in my mind right now that like what if this was to go big and really big, and because we need those kind of role models in the community that are approachable, that I feel sort of comfortable talking to as well. Yeah, I think I'd like to go to you, Kanika, and really, if you can, because a lot of the work, and I think if I were to also share what we do at Prava, it's really about building, the experience for the young person, where, at the local level, the young, as a young person, I have a role model that I can approach to, that I feel comfortable talking to as well. And then who can also then facilitate a lot of these experiences for me as well, where I can truly explore my own self before taking action in the community, right? Where you said that how the education outcome was not something that you were looking at in the first go. It was really about creating that experience. And what we've also seen is that once we are able to create that inside out experience where I understand myself and then connect with the issues in my community, one, I'm able to stay connected with them for much longer, and I take up a lot more ownership for them. Whereas I would otherwise I might or might not do that otherwise, but then I just get connected with that a lot more. And I think what in with community and what Kanika have been doing is to really bring a lot of these initiatives that have been happening across the country together, and then to see how what does it really mean to also talk about these initiatives cross sector as well, right? Because we need a lot of players to also come together. So Kanika, if you can talk about what does it really take to have this dialogue with people who, one, yes, believe in youth leadership, but also the ones who take a little bit more convincing about the power of youth leadership as well.
Yeah, I think it's about people just not like the frame, just creating a frame. I mean, I'm sitting here flanked by, the wonderful people here who've talked about their youth leadership journey, and we're looking at Shivani here as a youth leader, and I'm just thinking, Prateek, the story you just talked about, where you come in as a young, maybe through after your probation or wherever, you're there as a young officer, and the disruption to say that the role is not defined, what else can I do? That's an act of youth leadership. We just don't see it and we don't call it out. And it's not difficult, and the bureaucracy thrives. The government thrives, the bureaucracy thrives on young leaders like yourself who come in and who look at something and say, what can be done differently? So I think it's everywhere. I don't think that people necessarily want to create barriers for youth leadership. I just think that we don't recognize what youth leadership has done for us as a nation, and we therefore don't create space for it. It's happened organically, a lot of it, and there are barriers. There are structural barriers because as a country, as a society, we are very hierarchical, we are very patriarchal. It's not easy for young people to stand up and disrupt things. It's not easy for young people to try and push change. And at the same time, as we go back into history, we will see that some of the biggest movements were supported very heavily by young people. They may not have always been seeded by young people, but they were always supported very, very heavily by young people, right from the independence movement until as recently as, say, India Against Corruption, or so many student movements that we know have really ignited and initiated change in the country. So I think it's about the dialogue with people around what it takes to be a young leader and how do we enable that. Because many young leaders here, or many leaders that you'll hear about, sometimes it happens by chance, in the sense that, I won't say chance, there's a lot of mehnat they do. But they're fighting those barriers, right? वो माता पिता से भी लड़ रहे हैं because, study, get a job, that's what you're meant to do, and then start a family and all of that, right? So you have to have that fight. You have to have that fight with people who hold positions of power, who say कि तुम अभी बच्चे हो, तुम चुप रहो. Right? You have to have the fight with your friends who are saying, boss, come and hang out at a bar, what are you doing this social work for? Right? So there are many fights that a young person has to have to try and initiate any kind of change. Can we make those fights easier? It's still their fight, it's still their journey, it's still what they have to do, but can we sort of dismantle those barriers a little bit and create spaces that will encourage this leadership and inspire this leadership, and that say that it's okay, do it, fail, do it again, find like-minded people. There are more people out there who are trying to do this than you'll find them here. So where are those spaces? And the name Commutiny, the youth collective is the organization I represent, and there is a large coalition called Varta Leap where lots of people believe in just this. But I just want to say the name Commutiny, my father was a bureaucrat for 40 plus years, and as much as he loves what I do and all of that, he'll always tell me ki yaar naam badal do, you sound like you're anti-establishment, and what is this mutiny and this and that you're trying to do. So we're not trying to do any mutiny. The byline is the first mutiny is within. That comes when a young person, it's this internal transformation, the self-transformation that comes from trying to transform communities. So that kind of dance between self and social transformation that a young person goes through, I think just trying to enable that And that's what we try to do, to answer your question, Neeru, around what we do, how we do it. There are hundreds and hundreds of organizations like Bharat Dekho. Thankfully, there are hundreds and hundreds of organizations like Bharat Dekho that are creating spaces for young people, because they believe that if those opportunities are created, young people will discover themselves, young people will discover their leadership, young people will discover the change that they want to bring, and young people will make that change. And then those young people are found in non-profit organizations, they are found in the bureaucracy, they are found in corporates, they are found in political parties, they are found everywhere that young people should be found, and they are found everywhere where young people should be changing something. But wo spaces chahiye, and ho rahe hain create dheere dheere.
Yeah, thanks, Kanika. And I think, I think those spaces are definitely needed. And I have a feeling that, in this room, there are a lot of people who are already creating these spaces as well. So I think what I thought, we have another 15 minutes. So I thought maybe we could take some insights, questions, any eureka moment you've had listening to, our people over here. And if you'd like to share something, then please do. Or if you're doing something that you'd like to share, or a challenge, we'd love to hear from you. Yes, please. Just please also share your name and where you're from. Thanks.
Yes. Hi. My name is Anjali. I'm currently working with an organization called Bhumi. We're running our own fellowship as well, so very similar. Only difference is that it's not volunteering. They come in, like young people come in for 2 years full time, and then they, of course, there's lifelong support as part of the community as well. One key challenge we've been facing, and something I also am curious to hear from all of you, because you also said, like, you're working with youth who are coming from government schools and, same education system that we're trying to work with right now. Like someone who's coming in from a tier 1 city, right, into this program or a similar space, versus somebody who's coming in from a rural space or a smaller town, right, like your tier 2, tier 3 backgrounds. How does the support system for these different young people look, right, considering their backgrounds and experiences? And if you can share some examples from your end, that would be amazing.
Thanks, Anjali. Do we have one more question, something, or should we just, we'll answer this? Whoever wants to take this on.
I mean, it might be interesting, because I really think what you're doing, from the government end of it, whether you wear the government hat then or not, but I just feel it's really interesting and rare. So we'd love to hear that, and maybe then, Shivani can come in. I'm just thinking it'll be nice to hear how that it's being enabled from your end.
Tier 1 is more secured, like risk aversion is less, but tier 2 is pure dedication. They really care, the way I see it, because I come from Delhi. For me, it will be more like indulgence. I really want to do for the country, that's okay, but I'm much more secured. My risk is very less. But if somebody is coming from tier 2 and doing this job, hats off to them more. It's because it is in you, and I think the volunteers who are there with us, they will agree more. They really want to see change in their society. We may be the catalyst. We will come out of that reaction unchanged or unaltered, because catalyst never change. The reaction happens, it comes out. So we will be the catalyst, but the people who are actually driving that change will be the tier 2 people, and then only that thing will change. Because I think the upside also, the discussion was, the moment Hindi comes, Kannada comes, or Bhojpuri comes, the social cause, or maybe Telugu comes, the social change stops. We are all English speaking people, like we have our own jargons and our own, rhetorics and everything. So actual thing will happen जब tier 2 वाले लोग आएंगे, but वो बहुत ज़्यादा risk है उसमें. The tier 1 people are much more secure. They may be having a house for that matter, or some kind of cushion. But I think that's what we are failing, and that's what she was also trying to say. Like we need to make something for these people who really want to do and secure. And I think that is also there inherent in this idea. If I remember Abhijit and Romila speaking, that we should start skilling these volunteers. It's not taking the work out of them and then leaving them around. It's also to upskill these people so that they don't, the continuous feeding keeps on happening to the system. These 2 years they spend, they go out, next people will come up. They must be trained, they must be connected to the people, the organizations, they must be consumed in the market. And that's how the system will keep on, and that will become a good feeder channel, the way I see it. It will be sustainable maybe.
I think just one point I'll add to that is, I think there is definitely a need, and maybe Bhumi also tries that in different ways, is there is a need to bring greater recognition and validation to the work that young people do as volunteers. Can there be a credit equivalent to them, a certification that comes out of it? Can it it has greater value in the market, in the job market, right? When you go for an interview, no one asks you what your degree is by then. That's already on your CV. They want to know what skills you come with. They want to know what are the soft skills. They want to know how you address challenges, how do you handle conflicts, all of which are being built when a young person volunteers somewhere. So how do we advocate better in the market, with the government, to bring greater recognition? Because then 1 year, 2 years, 5 years of volunteering will be so much easier for a young person to do, because their parents know it's the equivalent of doing a diploma of some kind. It's going to get them better, it should get them better jobs, it should give them better salaries. And I know there's a lot of talk of it, it's not happened yet, but I do feel as a sector that's something that we really need to try and advocate for, is connect the three, the whole Samaj Sarkar Bazaar discourse that happens. I think it's important from the volunteering side as well.
How do they feel post whatever work and pre-work? What changes?
Within them? Yeah.
Yeah. Would someone like to share? I mean, we have our volunteers here. Pavan, do we have you here? Maybe if you want to share in terms of, pre-volunteering and, post getting engaged with this entire process, what has been the learning for you? What have been the shifts in your own life as well?
So, hi everyone, my name is Pavan. So, just like Shivani said, my journey.
Little louder. My question.
So, just like Shivani shared her journey, my journey is also similar. I was a volunteer first, and now I'm a district associate. So, while through volunteering, there is also So there are changes in ourselves, right? Like how we see the world, and improving ourselves, like building confidence in self, and like take one example, like I'm coming here and speaking. So this is also change in myself. So through the volunteering, we also change ourselves. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Right. And I think I feel, because all the volunteers are being asked to share, I feel compelled to share. I think I got into the sector at the age of 18, because I realized that and as somebody, who grew up in Delhi, definitely had privilege, I realized that was the first time when I experienced that the world is much bigger than who I am. And I think for the first time in my life, I was able to expand the notion of I to we. That there is a society around me, and I need to engage with it. And I think sometimes what these experiences also do, at a younger age, I would say, as you grow older, slightly becomes difficult. I'm not saying that's not possible, but I think what it does is it sort of shifts your worldview, and makes you also realize your own privilege and power. And then I think for organizations that are engaging with young people, it also becomes important to talk about the tools to share that power, right? Because sometimes then you also can get extremely disillusioned as well. So how do we make those tools accessible to be able to share that power, and to then take on that responsibility with that kind of ownership as well. So yeah, Shivani.
So, if I have to talk about myself, so today I'm sitting here and speaking confidently, but like before COVID, I used to be very confident, but something happened in COVID and the education to the children and the problems that arose, and we used to see that how the migrants used to, and there were many deaths that were happening in hospitals, and everything was very difficult. So, when like at that time before school, I have mentioned I was very confident about myself, but at that time I was feeling like where I'm living, like how the society is being around me. And we always say that the young people will be the citizens, they will be bringing the change in the society. And we are not able to like think what we are going to do next. So that is a time where I have started interacting with many people again, and today I'm speaking here. Like that gave me that confidence, and it was difficult for me to interact. Even today, I feel a little uncomfortable whenever, like uncomfortable when I meet new people. Even like with the own team, sometimes I feel difficult to share the views that I have to share. So it is there, like the fear that we hold, but the opportunity which I have mentioned in the starting, like there will be an opportunity and we have to utilize it, and only then we can discuss, and only from that we can get to know about various opinions from different people. And if we need a change, then we have to discuss, and only if we discuss, then we can come to a solution which we call it as a change. That is what I believe.
Thank you. Thank you, Shivani. We can take one or two last comments, questions. We have two hands. We can take both. That's okay. Yeah? We'll come to you after.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karthik. I'm from Tamil Nadu, and I was used to part of an organization called Restless Development, and they were placing people at the forefront of change and development. So one question to the panel is that, and for everyone is that, and I really inspired the way you explained your project, where we don't go with any intention what young people can do, and we leave it with them and we'll ask them how to do it. And what is your framework in terms of coming up with that? Because we want to learn from it because currently I'm with an organization called Mindset Matrix, where we work with a rural village, because we believe that only community involvement will bring the sustainable change in the education system within the community. And all the scale up program always comes up with the challenges and issues, and do we actually scale the product, or I think there was a main discussion in the main room, and how do we see that scaling up whatever that we come up here? So that's a second question. Thank you.
Should we take the second?
Yeah.
We can yes.
I'm not asking a question, but I just want to share my reflections as a comment. There was a point that was raised: how do we reduce the barriers for spaces? Just want to share this highlights. I was throughout this journey with Bharat Deko's work, I was part of the intellectual discourse, not as much on the field, but the team was running it. What I observed is the role Pratik has played in spreading that word to Muslim Hills. That eased our work when we were trying to convince Muslim Hills. You quickly said, no, I learned from my friend that it was good. That's a simple conversation that he passed on to Muzamil sir, and then after Muzamil sir, it was passed on to Kushbu madam, and then this incumbent collector, then Harsha. It's moved to 4 different places. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for them to trust this work.
There is always nexus for bad. We call it nexus for good.
Exactly. So I think that's one thing. How small acts of passing out this difficult work can help more non-profits get inspired. Otherwise, these barriers to reach, access, power is very huge. So that's one. And number 2, Shivani was mentioning, their work inspired many more youth. I've heard from them, there are other youth who were not part of the space. After they learned from their friends that this work is happening, can we also be part of it? They missed the workshop. They said, we missed the first workshop, but still can we be part of it? Abhijit used to say, this is how it's actually inspiring others. So I think these are the spaces that are required. These are the champions who should advocate for this risky work. And Muzamil, Pratik, all of them were there. We'll stand with you. it's a risky work. Enabled us to do that. I think that's what is so beautiful when I looked at it from a standpoint of an observer behind the scenes. Thank you so much, Pratik and Muzbil, for enabling that space, and Shivani for spreading it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Just to answer your question, so two things you asked, even as the part of entire this thing, comment, see, I was always, I was never, as you were saying, I come with a lot of privilege. I was born in Delhi, house is there, everything is taken care of. So my mind changed when I visited orphanage. And that too was also as a social part when I was in my college. So we had this scheme called, we will just visit the orphanage, have some fun time with them, just dancing, because the idea was those kids just want somebody visiting them. They're too alone in their lives and all. So, but then I changed. That was like, dude, what is there in the world? Like, I'm living in my own paradise, and that's how my social inclination, whatever happened. To your second question, that community participation in the schools. See, I always say Telangana teachers are highest paid in the country. They are drawing salary more than the collector in the district, maybe. I don't know about the parallels with the other states. Vis-a-vis the private school teachers get not even 25% of that thing, but they're delivering better. They are not delivering much better, but they're at least doing better job. The only thing is the parents are paying for it. The virtue they are paying for it, they hold the system, the teachers accountable. Here the government is paying, as panelist was also saying, government main focus had been reduced to MDM, food poisoning, delivering good rice, attendance, service matters of the teachers, their recruitments, all those things. The main output, the core, the center point has been shifted from the student, from the child in fact, to the something else. So until unless that accountability is being brought into this public education system, it is not going to improve. Now the question comes, the parent, how the power structure of the society. The parent is not having any power to ask the teacher. How we can build it into it? First. Second thing, the politics of things. We don't live in the isolated, we don't live in vacuum. There is caste, there is politics, there is party, everything is there. How do we make it happen that they are not unnecessarily targeted? So how we can bring it into a good faith kind of thing, that is really a challenge. Until that happens, a parent should be empowered. Even I am in the favor personally, it's not a government stand or policy thing. Until we start paying for thing, we don't hold anything accountable. If I'm paying 10 rupees, I demand it. It's my right, because it's a contract. I have paid you, I've got into the contract, and I can demand that you also honor the other part of that contract thing. So that is a challenge, like because it is a free education, we are a welfare state, they are poor people. If we charge, again a political debate will come, like why the system has started charging for the education. So it's a challenge, but definitely the administration can give some kind of power to the society, to the community, that you can at least holding, because I was reading again in the Grey Sunshine, there was one school in the Pune, the villagers used to lock their door. A simple assertion of power by the community, the teacher will at least stay in the school for, they will not allow them to come out of the school before the school hours. A lock has solved the problem of the early departure from the schools. At least those rights should be given, and definitely we should start talking about what delineation or what, what kind of delegation of power should happen in this kind of educational power system. What rights can be given, which cannot be misused by either of the things. I think that will be good. Even as a part of administration, we are ready to hear from the society with the brainstorming and the ideas of things, how that can be done. Until the power is given to the parents, because ultimately it's their child. It's their child who is studying. We are the custodians only. If that is given, I think our system will start improving. And believe me, like our teachers are B.Ed, M.Ed. We put all kind of crazy qualifications, competitive exams, we make them, we keep on training them, we pay them so much. They should perform, definitely they should deliver. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
I think there's probably a great example of that from MGMT, no? Accountability and I think, so we, matlab, Nagesh, agar thoda sa share karoge, because there also is in that is the story of youth leaders, young leaders from those communities who have managed to inspire account ownership among parents, teachers, etc. I think there's a mic behind you.
थैंक यू कनिका। तो जब हम मेरा गांव मेरी दुनिया की बात करते हैं, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट माय विलेज इज माय वर्ल्ड, तो द ओनरशिप इज क्रिएटेड व्हेन वी को क्रिएट द एजेंडा आल्सो। तो कई बार इस तरीके से होता है कि अगर एनजीओ अपना एजेंडा लेके जाएगा, स्कूल अपना एजेंडा लेके जाएगा, तो ओनरशिप नहीं क्रिएट होगी। तो हमने क्या सिस्टम शुरू किया, जिस तरीके से डेमोक्रेसी भी डेमोक्रेटिक हमने उससे किया है कि हर एक पेरेंट्स को, बच्चों को और टीचर्स को राइट मिलेगा कि वो किन किन एरियाज़ में स्कूल डेवलपमेंट करना चाहते हैं, और दे राइट डाउन ऑल द एरियाज़। हमारा जो यूथ लीडर होता है वो उनको सपोर्ट करता है, एंड दे वोट। तो हर एक बच्चे के पास भी एक वोट होगा, पेरेंट्स के पास भी होगा और टीचर्स के पास भी होगा। एंड आफ्टर वोटिंग दे विल डिसाइड कि प्रायोरिटीज़ क्या है। एक बार जब प्रायोरिटीज डिसाइड हो जाती है तो उसके बाद दे विल स्टार्ट कि इसका प्लान कैसे होगा, इम्प्लीमेंट कौन करेगा और किसके पास कितनी ओनरशिप होगी। तो मान लीजिए कि अगर प्रॉब्लम निकल कर आई कि जैसे सर ने शेयर किया कि टीचर जल्दी स्कूल छोड़ के चले जाते हैं, तो किसकी ओनरशिप होगी कि वो ना हो, एंड दे विल डिसाइड द सॉल्यूशन। तो द होल थिंग इज लीड बाय द यूथ, लोकल यूथ लीडर हु इज ट्रेन्ड बाय आवर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, बट द सिस्टम इज डेवलप्ड इन सच ए वे कि एवरीवन शुड टेक द ओनरशिप। क्योंकि जो गेंद फेंकने वाला है, मतलब हर एक की अलग अलग क्वालिटी है। तो मैं पेरेंट्स को नहीं कह सकता कि आप पढ़ाओ, विकेट कीपर तो विकेट कीपर ही करेगा। पेरेंट्स का काम अलग है, बच्चों का अलग है और टीचर का अलग है। वो अपना अपना काम बेहतर तरीके से कैसे कर सकते हैं, तो उसकी पूरी पॉसिबिलिटीज़ और उसके अराउंड ओनरशिप कैसे डिजाइन की जाती है, वो हमने कोशिश की है बनाने की।
थैंक यू नागेश्वर। Kanika, you want to add something? Right? Thank you. And I think time with nearing the end. Muzamil, you want to share your experience?
Thank you, ma'am. So, just slightly to disagree to what Prateek has said. In systems where now government education is free, but it's free for the parent. Community is still paying for it. Society is still paying for it. An experiment we have done, Prateek, after the introductions you had made, is we made our PTMs work. We made the teachers answer to the parents about which student is doing well. If not, why not? What is the progress in the last month? And this is where the administration stands with the parents and says, if the teacher's response is not sufficient, we are with you, we take action against the teachers. Now, all these salaries, all these, both of us are paid from society's funds. Yes, we come in with a sense of social service, but it is not free in the sense that it is free without a tax, right? Teachers need to get this. And we have had this conversation numerous times. The department is going to go away if education falls. The primary reason education departments exist is to teach a child and translate that into meaningful employment. If you're only putting up a building with 2 students and 10 teachers there, at some point society is going to make this entire palace of glass fall down. It is not about unions, it is not about salaries, it's not about when you're coming and when you're going. Is the child gainfully getting employment after the 10th grade or the 12th grade? He's done commendable work on this. We are putting the power back to the parents and saying that these are the lists. So we have put it up saying that this is how much is spent on a teacher, this is how much money you are paying. Whoever pays the tax is irrelevant, but it's coming from society's funds. It is not free. You're paying for it in a roundabout way. Ask in a way that you ask a private school, why is my child not progressing? Empowering them through PTMs, Bharat Dekho and others have programs that they've worked with us and done this. And the second thing, if I could just, sorry to take up a minute. This entire, now there are a group of about 600, 700 people that work in Telangana. We're both from the Telangana cadre. All started because one officer took the lead to do this. Change comes. It is slow. Yes, there is anxiety when you want it. You think that why is it not happening in my tenure? It lasts across tenures provided we all believe in the goal. Doesn't matter if Prateek has done it, or I have done it, or the next guy has done it. It matters if you're all invested in that child getting education. The reason I'm saying this is the child does not wait for our ideas to be perfect right, because he's going to go till the 10th grade and then pass out, right? So the change that starts with the right people coming in, trust me, it lasts. We just need to get out of this pessimism of seeing slow action. Action is not always going to be fast, but it gets there. And we're definitely on the right track. I don't know why most of society seems to be pessimistic nowadays. We're doing well. India is a wonderful, beautiful country. It's an unequal country, but it's a wonderful, beautiful country. The inequality is what we're trying to address. And all these guys sitting here, I mean, it's a pleasure to have known all of them by name, but they're who is going to bring change. And please also identify that a lot of them are girl volunteers. Real change is coming from girls being educated. This is our observation from the field, and we're getting that. Thank you for this wonderful session. Thank you.
Just one thing I wanted to just reflect back on two important points that I heard from people. One is this whole thing of intergenerational and cross-sectoral allyship, right? So that what we are doing is we are building friendship, solidarities, allyship across Samaj Sarkar Bazaar. And that works. When that happens, that works. You find, strength within each other and you believe in each other and then you support each other and that brings transformation. And the other is this thing of inspired insiders, which is young people who are inside their communities and they are inspired to bring change and they inspire 10 others or 100 others. And so I feel both of these are like real takeaways for me from what people have reflected back.
Yes, please.
So like when we were talking about it, so I got to remind about one of the incident from Adilabad. Like we are saying that parents will not take the responsibility of the child. Yes, they will not take, and we know who come from who comes to government schools. They will not be. Yes, parents they have to take the responsibility of the child. Like how the teacher should take the responsibility. They should have they too have the equal responsibility, but like if in a community we are saying one incident from Adilabad, as I mentioned, like the youth volunteers, they came to school with when the teachers were not coming to the school and that was only single teacher. So the children were sitting in the classroom just because the teacher will come and teach us. But when the youth volunteer went and complained, the teacher is coming regularly. So it will also about the the step that we take. Yeah. So it is not about only the parents or the teachers, it is the intention and the trust that we have with each other. And there are many volunteers who have the keys of the whole school with them because they go to schools and take learning sessions. So it is also about the trust that the teachers, principals, and the community holding on you, believing in youth, and that is the support they are giving. So for a change, again, it is about the community together. So we cannot just say that they are not responsible, they are not being responsible. So it is collectively that we all have to do it together. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, I think, for that. And I hope I'm leaving, this is all left you all with a lot of food for thought. But I think one of the things that, if I would like to try to sum this up, I would say that, I think this will take a long time. I think mindset change is something that takes a lot of time. And then, but we will see that change happen. And I think as we keep on building those spaces for young people, slowly start dissolving the barriers. And I think as you also said, create a lot of this nexus for good, for youth leadership to really thrive in whichever space that we are taking on as well. And, we keep, sort of one after the other, keep this ripple effect happening. And I think what Shivani, you've also been talking about is a lot of this ripple effect, right? It keeps passing on from one person to the other. And I think if we keep believing in that, then, yes, school education will take and I think will change as well. And I think for all of us for the last conversation, I was saying, talk about demand our rights, but then also perform our duties as well. Sort of ask that question, take on accountability as young people, and really take ownership for the whole as well. So thank you so much for joining in, and this is lovely speaking with all of you, I think, in the room. And I hope that we keep creating those spaces and keep it churning and going. Thank you so much.